True HR influence for me means that you can occupy your seat at the table fully as a member of an executive team. And by that I mean way beyond your own functional discipline, although of course that is also mission critical. So the way I build my influence, for example, is by understanding my business first and foremost and knowing how it works, how it makes money, what the strategic issues are, and then thinking through very carefully what are the people responses, what are the responses we need to make on the people agenda that are going to help the business meet its strategic goals. And I think, A, understanding the business is critical, and B, being able to then strategically respond. So I think the biggest challenges and opportunities for HR over the course of the last 12 months have been, how do we deal with the political uncertainty and what might that mean for colleagues? What's that going to mean for us and for customers actually? What's it going to mean for us economically, and how is it going to impact the companies that we run? And then I think more broadly, there's the challenge of digitisation and the rise of AI. And whilst at the moment, for some organisations and some sectors, that feels like a slow burn, we will very rapidly find ourselves, like we did with mobile phones, in a world where all of a sudden we're full of it, and we've got to think quite carefully about how we're going to respond to that. So I think what this means for how we exert influence is that we've got to be at the forefront of thinking about human beings and how you help them to be at their best. And there's a lot going on now in terms of performance management that's based in proper neuroscience. And, I've worked on that in my company, and what I find is that leaders at every level, senior, junior, are all much more able to connect with how to get the best out of people when they understand the scientific basis for it. I think the whole, as I said earlier, the AI agenda, the digitisation agenda, how do we connect with that in terms of the future shape of a workforce? And how do we, shape our companies going forward? And I think how you bring a coherent people strategy together that looks at all aspects of managing people, from performance management to reward, to well-being, which of course is critical in this day and age, given the sort of lives that we're all leading, to industrial relations and organisational change and so on. So I think for me it's about building our influence through being contemporary, thinking about the forefront of research and using academics to help you do that, and then building your strategy around that. So often HR can be what we call in Scottish the cobbler's bairns. And what I mean by that is that we're often the last people to recognise ourselves in the first instance, and then sometimes to gain recognition. But what I think is happening societally is that as the quality of your workforce becomes ever more important in the digital age in terms of what makes you distinctive, I think we need to learn to celebrate. People strategy is a key enabler of any business, and it can help you be distinctive from your competitors and also be a place where people really want to work. So I think we need to celebrate ourselves more to start with, and not to be quite so humble, and in doing so encourage others to recognise our efforts much more than they have historically.